Rise and shine on Australia's Vision Christian Radio.
Well, we are so excited. I'm personally very, very excited. I've got Priscilla zooming in from us. It's morning for us, so good morning, Priscilla. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys?
We're super
Excellent.
excited.
Yeah, we are very excited. Of course, The Forge is out today in cinemas, and you are the lead actress. And of course, I call it War Room 2 because it's just a bit of a follow-on from War Room. But congratulations on, obviously it's already out in the States and it's going great guns. So well done for being a part of it again.
Oh, thank you. I feel really grateful that they asked me to be a part of it again.
Oh, well, I can see why. Priscilla, as we were watching it, we were amazed because my husband and I watched it over a couple of nights because he put me to bed halfway through and made me watch it over two. But as I was watching, we got to a scene where you have the ladies gathered to pray, which is super exciting, actually very emotional. And then someone who looked like you walked in the door and Murray and I were like, we've been watching Priscilla. Who is this? Who is this? Don't tell me you play two people in the movie like there's no other roles for anyone else. Is that right?
Well, that is one of the surprises of the film that we hope will be endearing to people because
Yes.
Elizabeth, back in the War Room movie, the main thing that she and her husband were arguing about was the phone calls with her sister, where her sister kept asking her for money, to borrow money because her husband wasn't actually being a provider and a protector. So you hear about this random sister in War Room if you pay close attention. Like, it's not a major storyline, but it's there. And so then when they were writing this film, they thought, what if this is the twin sister of Elizabeth? So that's how that happened.
It's just a brilliant way that it's done. And I must admit, it was after the movie that I was chatting with a couple of other people and we started to piece it all together. It's like, oh, okay, now we know. So it's a very clever thing. But I must say, and we were talking about this earlier, you hugging yourself, I don't know how they make that all happen. That's quite incredible. How was that for you on the set?
Oh, it was so fun to be able to do something that, was so unique to me because I've never done anything like that before. And Alex, the director, he hadn't either.
Yeah.
So I could tell that he was on a creative, innovative adventure, trying to figure out how not to just do a split screen, which is kind of easier to do when you have two people in the same shot, but to make it so that we were together in the frame. So that requires I had to shoot both characters from different directions, the front side, and then there was a body double who happened to be my sister-in-law. And so she would be the backside of the other character while we were doing that. And then they used the wonders of technology to put my face on her body so that we could be in the scenes at the same time.
That's amazing.
That is incredible. But look, there is a bit more of a family affair in the movie. You have some other family members who, if the Australians are going out tonight, hopefully to watch it, who else should they be looking out for, Priscilla?
Well, there are so many incredible men and women in this film. But as you'll see in the movie The Forge, the main topic of it is a group of men that are discipling younger men. And it's called The Forge Discipleship Group. That's kind of the whole point of the movie. Yeah. And every man in that scene has been handpicked by the Kendrick brothers. They are not actors. Well, two of them are the main actors in the film. But the rest of the men in The Forge, sorry for the balloons.
Oh, I love the balloons. Do it.
They were all picked because they are men who are actually already discipling younger men in their real life. And one of those men is my husband, Jerry, of 25 years. Wow. And standing beside him is our youngest of 3 sons, and his name is Jude.
Oh, that is very special.
That is very. I would have been crying. I was crying at that moment anyway. But then, if it was me, I do.
And I guess for you to think about that, I mean, obviously, you're in a movie and what have you. But as you say, like, this is actually happening in real life for people as well. So I guess understanding that whole idea of mentoring and discipling the next generation, it's really key. And actually, I don't even know if you're aware of this, but this weekend in Australia is Father's Day. So you've had Father's Day a couple of months back in America, but it's Father's Day. So we've actually been talking about, the whole idea of, fatherly wisdom and advice and what have you. So it's actually quite a special timing for the movie to be out in Australia because of the themes of fatherhood and mentoring the next generation.
That's amazing. Only the Lord can orchestrate stuff like that. It is a film that is centered around the influence of an older man on a younger man or a more matured man, whether it's in business or in his relationship with the Lord or in marriage. who can pour into the life of a younger man and say, you're enough. Like, let me affirm you, but let me also challenge you and hand you your man card and say, come on, it's time for you to have character and be responsible. So I've appreciated that in the lives of my own sons. Yeah. Again, my sons are about the same age as Isaiah in the movie. And they have a great father and grandfather and uncles. I'm so grateful that are pouring into them. But I've always noticed that when like a coach of one of their sporting teams or some man they admire because of his excellence in his profession, when that man challenges my son or affirms my son, they absorb it. Somehow they absorb it in a completely different way. Yeah. And so the voice of those men in my son's life has been exponential in value.
That's so true. And I've experienced that myself. You know, you can tell your kids something over and over and over and over, and then suddenly a coach will say something to them and they go, oh, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'm like going, oh, really?
I think in the movie as well, the thing that is so capturing is that you see Isaiah following the lead and seeing God in the life of these men. Yeah. And actually following godly men and through their works and saying, hey, this is how you live a godly life and this is the outcome of that. It's inspirational, Priscilla. Is that something else that you've seen and wanted your young men to capture?
Oh, absolutely. The impact of that, the influence of that, the value of that. Again, it really is exponential and it means the world. And I just have to say, I know we're like doing an interview right now, but my son who's in the movie literally just walked in. Just come wave.
Oh,
yes, please.
Because they're going to see you on the movie. It's in Australia.
Yeah, Jude,
like,
we'd love it.
Over, let them see you.
Hey, Jude, hi.
How you doing?
Australia. You were awesome. We loved you in the movie.
They said you were awesome in the movie, Jude. So he's 15 years old now, cut off all his dreadlocks that you probably saw in the film. He was 14 then when we filmed it. And so even to see the impact from that year, last year until now, with just men that have taken an interest in him and in my other two sons. Oh my goodness, the ripple effect is unbelievable, and I'm so grateful.
Oh.
That's fantastic.
And Priscilla, I saw, and perhaps you can tell us about it, but Jerry, so he's your 19-year-old, if I've got it right. He saw the movie and he posted his response. Can you tell us his response? Because as a mum, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful.
I know. That's why I reposted it, because I was like, this is what it's all about.
Tell us what he said.
My son went to the film. And by the way, the next night, he took his entire basketball team at university to see the movie as well. But yeah, he saw it and it just kind of jarred him, I think. I think he was kind of like, wait a minute, this is so impactful and meaningful. And you know how sometimes when you're doing things within the context of your own family, it's just like, okay, see you later. Go make the movie. All right, bye.
Thanks, Mom. Where's my lunch?
In hindsight, they kind of go, oh, it's a real movie.
Yes.
What? You did what, Mum?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
But I loved, he was really impacted from my memory of it, was there's a line early on where it talks about that in order to take up the cross, something in you has to die.
Something has to die. And isn't that what discipleship is all about? It really is surrender. It's saying to the Lord, Lord, what is keeping me from putting you in first place? Because I have a competing allegiance, whether it's a hobby or an entertainment choice or an ambition. It doesn't have to be sinful to be vying for position of first place. That's what I think is going to be so jarring to believers when they see this movie, is that many of us have placed faith in Jesus. We've received that free gift, but crossing the line to discipleship is hard because one is a free gift and one requires a high cost. That it means everything else has to line up underneath our prioritization and our allegiance to Christ. So when we really start looking at that personally, we start realizing there are a lot of things I actually love too much, and they're not bad. They're just taking too much of a devoted priority in my life.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
Good.
I've got a question for you, Priscilla. Now, obviously the movie, it sort of, I guess, runs over a couple of years in time. And it's all compressed into a 90-minute movie, which is the way that they work. But I wonder if you could speak to parents who are in the situation that you found yourself in the movie with a prodigal son, you might call him. But maybe they've been waiting longer than a couple of years. Maybe it's been even decades that they've been believing and praying for their prodigal, and it hasn't all resolved yet. what would you say to them to sort of, I guess, encourage them and help them to, stay strong and to keep believing for their kids to come back to the Lord?
Yes. Oh my goodness. That's such a good question. Yeah. And I wish that there was an easy answer, because that could be true about anything in our lives that we've been praying for, like maybe hardship in our marriage or in our health, and 5 years have passed and 6 years have passed and 10 years have passed. It can be incredibly discouraging. So I don't answer this with any sort of ease and it's easy to keep going. But we do have to remember that our God is faithful, that he is faithful to his word. And Ephesians 3:20 and 21 is my go-to passage, that he is able to do exceedingly abundantly above and beyond anything you can ask or think. And the reason that has such a gravity to me is that sometimes, all the time, our thought processes, the highest level of what we think the best resolution could be for our child or our marriage or our financial difficulty, the highest level of our thinking hasn't even reached the fringes of categories that he's thinking of when he brings answers and solutions into our lives. So he's thinking multi-generational. He's thinking about great grandkids that we may never lay eyes on. So all of the things that are happening in our lifetime are tethered to a web of events that our human minds cannot even fathom. So we have to trust that even when we're not seeing the outcome we would prefer, he invites us to still make our requests known. And yes, he hears us when we pray. But if he chooses to answer differently and not in our timing, then we have to trust that his ways really are higher than ours, and his thoughts are way above ours, and that we can trust that just like he is almighty and powerful, he is also good and kind and loves us.
That's fantastic. What a great answer.
Beautiful answer.
Thank
Priscilla,
you so much.
We're going to have to let you go. But before we do, I have been loving your new book. I don't know if you can see it there, but I've got one here.
Yes.
They're in Australia. You can buy it. I did think it's because you named it I Surrender All. I thought, you might have sold more copies if it was I Surrender a Little Bit or just. But I Surrender All, I've loved reading it. But in the end, nearing the end, you write out a creed, I'm calling it, that you speak over your sons all the time.
Oh, yes.
And I was wondering, could you leave us with that? Could you speak over the sons of Australia, the creed that you speak over your sons before we let you go?
Absolutely. And for all intents and purposes, this is really for your sons and your daughters, your grandsons and your granddaughters, your nieces and nephews. I look at my boys since they're very little and say, you are a man or woman of integrity and character and honesty. You will love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. You will put on the full armor of God so that you can stand firm against the schemes of the devil. You are the head. You are not the tail. You are above. You are not beneath. You are a leader. You are not a follower. The praises of God shall continually be in your mouth, and you will be a mighty oak of righteousness in the house of the living God. And you will do it in Jesus' name, or I will spank you.
I love it.
Praise God.
That is so good.
Oh, Priscilla, thank you. Thank you.
It's been so good talking to you today, Priscilla. And again, The Forge is in cinemas from today in Australia. Faithmedia.com.au is the place to go to find your nearest location. Get out and support this film. It is sensational. Priscilla, thank you so much for your time with us on Rise and Shine.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.